The file which I sent you, packet tracer, download version 8.1.1, and this will work because apparently that the file of the topology I have been told and I've experienced does not work with all versions. So if you have the latest version, there is a possibility it may not work at all. So Google 8.1.1, I believe, and import this file into packet tracer. You will probably need a Cisco password, which you should have created by now to log in. And what was it? It was not Network Academy, right? It was Skills. So you basically you will get an option when you log in Network Academy or Skills. You will have to log in with Skills with whatever Cisco ID which you might have created on their website. Did you log in? I don't think with Reva it will work. It has to be a Cisco ID. Yeah, but with a Reva email address. With Reva. If you did it with your own thing, it will work forever. Because you are also indirectly creating an ID on Cisco.com.
Those people.
Any other questions from the last class? All the people here are here or they are having breakfast? Because I will start the meeting. Whether I don't know how you guys manage. Yeah, start. Right, we got in place 4 days. What my life here. Yeah, not maybe 4 days. Earlier I used to run a company, we used to train. Speaking tomorrow, today, tomorrow. I just, for some people it looks nice, some people it looks bad. I'm one of those people, it looks depressing. I see it, I get depressed. So normally 4 days has been the longest. Somewhat like. And plus, it's itchy, and you know, it's itchy, you have to get used to it, and you sweat and stuff. Nowadays, it is so much file. People are getting married and they don't say, which I find surprising. Yeah, but I think that is one thing where I found out the industry. Yeah. Okay, nobody has any questions? Okay, where are the slides now? On the desktop? Yes, for model 1.
We did VLANs, right? Okay, that is where we were.
Okay, any questions from the last class? Before I start asking me questions. How is the hub different from a switch? Hub is a forward repeater, okay, and what is the switch? It stores and forwards frame. And that is the reason why you could have multiple conversations at full duplex. On a hub, you can never do full duplex. CS07 is used to deal with collisions. Okay, then what are the three fundamental functions of a switch? Three functions for the switch. Address learning, at least you should know if you forget everything else. Right? Address learning. So it learns addresses based on which field? Which field of the frame? Yeah, which MAC? There are two MAC fields on the header of Ethernet frames. Source MAC, right? Okay. Now, the second thing is forwarding, filtering, or flooding decisions, right? It will forward to a particular port if it knows which port that destination is. If it does not, send one copy to every other thing. If the destination happens to be on the same port, it will do nothing. Right? What is the third job? Loop avoidance. Right? So, if there is a loop, what are the three things that happen? Broadcast stop, okay, that is one. Then multiple frame copies, okay. Wrong entries in the MAC address table. MAC address table instability or wrong entries in the MAC address table. Right? So to fix this, we use spanning tree protocol. What does the spanning tree protocol do? It will turn off redundant links. So now, very quickly, let me go. I've done no configuration. I've just added things. The guy sitting remotely, are you able to see the packet tracer?
My machine got disconnected with lab machine. Somebody is using the same machine. 192.168.10.120. It seems like we are alone in this. We are in a different lobby or something. There's nobody. She is not there. Rujul is also not there in this call. Mari, hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Prakash, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I'm not able to see any screen or if anyone is saying anything.
I don't think. I mean, we are in the right lobby or something like that, or I don't know. Or is it
What's the
not started yet? Because Pulakeshi and yeah, Rujul just now is in. Hello, Rujul. Can you hear me? Hello.
got this link? I don't know. It may be the right link, but I don't know who is the speaker and how we gonna start.
Rujul, can you hear us? Hello. Hello.
I think they lost the network. The whole team lost the network.
Okay. I mean, I've just connected. Tried to connect to my lab machine and it got connected and then suddenly disconnected. I mean, 5 minutes back. Is it the same thing with all other lab machines as well for you, or you're able to connect? No, you guys can connect to RDP to lab machine. Prakash, Mari.
So, Kitshura, this is my first class as in
Ah,
demo. Just wanted to see how you guys wanna work.
Oh, okay. Rujul, can you hear us? Hello.
Yeah.
I mean, we lost our RDP connections. I don't know. You are not able to connect back. At least I can't do RDP now. Yeah, now it got connected.
Okay, so now you see this. So first what I'm going to do is, those are the two VLANs, 10 and 20, sales and engineering. Name does not mean anything. It is end of the day in the tag. 802.1q tag, it will put 10 and 20. That's how the next switch knows that this frame belongs to what. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is, I told you, for inter-VLAN routing, if these guys will never be able to communicate with anybody in the other VLAN, even if they were in the same subnet. So what I will do is, here. So this is initially. This is initial to. Okay, so initially what I will do is, what my plan is, I will give the IP addresses to all these PCs. PC1, PC2, PC3, PC4. Then what does it say? It says 0. No, okay. It says 0, 1, 2, and 3. Do you see those numbers under the PCs? So what I'm planning to do is, what I will do is, I will give all of them.
Hello? Somebody is there?
And then there's some issue with the network. Not able to see the board screen as well.
Yeah. Even I lost my VPN connection also. I mean, not the VPN connection, at least the RDP connection again. ఏంట్రా అద్దా కాదు Uh-huh. Sorry, guys.
Uh,
Usually we can't see or we can't hear anything.
Yeah, we had some network issues.
We had some network outage. Okay, so for engineering, we had these PCs, PC2 and PC3, I believe. So when we put everything in the same subnet, we will statically put them. We don't see, we don't need a gateway if we don't want to communicate outside a network. Once we do this, you will see the one part of it is you will see the R table of all these bits. So we will see the switch R table on the machine and MAC address table on the switch. Okay. So now what I will do is let's go and start giving it IP addresses. It is being recorded, so you'll be able to see it anyway. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going here and I will turn on that. We'll try to do as much as possible from the GUI. Reason for that being the goal here is for you to learn how things work conceptually. It is not a Cisco class. Okay. So now basically look at this. I've turned on this and again you'll see spanning tree will do what it does. So what I'm doing is I'm going to this PC. I go to the config and I give it a static IP address. So my IP address, what was the plan? 10.1.1.10 and subnet mask was, because see it is a class A, it is automatically taking a /8. But I'm changing it to this. Plus, do you see the MAC address? Now, I don't want you to spend too much brain power in, dealing with the MAC addresses. So what I will do is I will edit it to end with AAA. Is that okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So now this is for PC0. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I will go to PC1 and the plan was the same thing. I will go here. I will go to the fast Ethernet. I will change this ending with a BBBB and statically 10.1.10. No, 1.11 and the subnet mask would be 255 255. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will go to PC number 2 here in engineering. I go to the config. I go to the fast Ethernet 10.1.1.12 and a /24. See, I have not given the default gateway yet because I don't need it. Right now, what I'm trying to show you is basic connectivity and how VLANs are supposed to work. Okay.
Now I am going to the last PC and I am going to go to the Ethernet and what was it? 13, is it? Yeah. 13 ending with, and I'm changing the MAC address to end with a DD so that when you see it, it's intuitive. Okay with this? Yes. Now, right now, by default, when the switch comes up, so I will go to the switch. When the switch comes up, if you look at it, when I say show VLAN, all the ports by default are part of VLAN number 1. Do you see that? VLAN number, that's the default. All the ports are VLAN 1. Do you see this? That means if you didn't know anything about VLAN, they will all talk to each other. Worst case scenario. Okay with this?
Sir, where are you seeing that all these ports are a part of VLAN 1?
Okay, so if you look at the leftmost column, it says VLAN number 1. The next one is the name, it says default. And then you see the status as active and the ports which belong to this VLAN number 1, you will see all the two dozen 100 gig ports, 100 Mbps ports and 2 gig ports.
Yes, sir.
Okay with this, everybody?
Yes. Yeah.
Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to the config again. Well, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create 2 VLANs. I'm going to the VLAN database. 10 is the VLAN and the name is sales. I have added it. Do you see that? Yes. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create another VLAN 20 and I will call it engineering. Okay, this. But if you look at it, I have not reassigned any ports to belong to these. I've just created the VLAN. So right now, this is know that those VLANs exist. Now what I'm going to do is, let me go back to the command line and I'll close this. Let me go to a PC. Now on the PC, I go to the desktop. I go to the command prompt. Do you see this? So I type the same command ipconfig. It tells me that I am 10.1.1.10, right? 10.1.1.10 and /24 is my subnet mask. Now, if you look at the picture, I should be able to, since everything is in VLAN 1, everything is in VLAN 1, then I should be able to ping everybody, right? So let me start by pinging. Ping 10.1.1. I'm pinging myself. Right? I'm pinging the next guy, 11. I'm able to ping. I'm able to ping 12. So I can ping machines in my switch and I can ping machines on another switch. Do you see that? Ping is which layer protocol? ICMP is protocol number 1 on the IP header. Right? Layer 3.
Yeah.
Now to reach the devices, I need to know their layer 2 address first. Because my packet will go inside the frame and the frame will be sent on the switch. Right? So I need to know the MAC address. To know the MAC address, I need to send an ARP request for the first packet. Whenever I'm sending this, who is this guy? Send me a MAC address. That is an ARP request. So let us look at the ARP table. Do you see that it has dynamically learned the MAC address of the other three machines. Do you see that? R minus A, it's a Windows thing. If you are in Linux, whatever is the equivalent. Look at it. Yeah. So do you see? Now do you see why AA, BB, CC, DDD is easier? It is not to make your life easier, it is to make my life easier. Because you will see, okay, you know what? Okay, dot 11 is BB and 12 is CC and 13 is DD. So do you see that? It is able to talk to machines in my VLAN and in another VLAN, right? Now what we will do is we will assign. So now let's go to the switch and look at the MAC address table. Now I'm going to the switch. I go to the command line. Okay. This is where you need to be. Okay. If you see a config come out of it, type exit once. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'll say show MAC address table. You can use a question mark if you do not know commands. And if you type enough number of unique characters, hit a tab, the operating system will take care of it. So show MAC address table, look at this. So it has learned AA and DD on port number 1 and 2. So that means the top two machines are connected to port number 1 and port number 2 of my switch. Let me try moving this to the side so that you can correlate. Look at this. This machine and this machine are connected to 1 and 2 respectively based on the MAC address table. Remember, I have pinged everybody. That means everybody has spoken. If everybody has spoken, I have learned all their MAC addresses. Right? And I told you 23 and 24 are the ports connecting to 23 and 24 of the other switch. That means these two MAC addresses will be learned on this port. Because once you send a broadcast, where is this guy? He will reply. So reply will come back on that particular port. So that is why BB and CE has been learnt on 23 port. 24 has been shut down by 22. Okay with this? Yes, no? These are the MAC address of the other switches actual ports. So, and this is the MAC address of the router. I'm not bringing the router into the picture right now. Let's get just talking basic campus. So you've got a bunch of machines. Now what my plan is, I will assign the first port of these two. Same thing is I'll go to the other switch. I'm going to the lower switch. Look at this. I'm going to the lower switch and I'll move this to the side. Come on, man. Now I go to the CLI. Okay. If you see this greater than symbol, okay, this is the user mode. You will go to the privilege mode, type enable. And I will type the same thing, show MAC address table. And if you look at this, okay, on the port 1 and 2, on the port 1 and 2, he has learned this locally. And where did the ping come from? From AA, right? The other guy has not spoken. Even if he has spoken, that was local. So that is why this guy has not learned till now DDDD. Because we had pinged from here. We never pinged. So what I will do is now, just to show you how it will learn, I will go to one of these machines and I will ping PC3, which is 10.11.13. And we will come back and we will revisit this page and you will see that on port 23, this good guy should have learned. So I go to the desktop, I go to the command line. Okay, I will ping 10.1.1.13. The ping is happening. This is enough for the switch to have learned. Now I'm going back to this guy. See, it did not have DD. And now, there you go. It has learned DD on port 23. You see that? Yes, A has disappeared. You see that? Because it times out, it keeps flushing. You can manually make those entries if you want to. You would normally want to do that from a security perspective for servers. You don't want anybody trying to spoof. Okay with this? Everybody? Any questions? Now, the moment I create VLANs, what my plan would be, since I am in switch 2, okay, what I will do is, all right. So look at this. Well, you have got something called VLAN trunking protocol, with which this guy should be able to automatically learn those VLANs which were created. Okay. So what my plan is, I have not made trunk ports yet. So I am going to again create those VLANs. 10. 10 was what? So remember, name does not mean anything. It is the number which really matters. 20 was, okay, I have created those two VLANs. On the command line, it's showing you in the bottom how it, it's happening. Yeah. Now I go to the sales VLAN. So look at this. Now my port number 1, I am putting this in sales. Okay with this? And port number 2 also I am putting in sales. Or well, maybe I will not at this time. So now if you see both these guys, I'm on the lower switch, right? Let me give it a name, man. So the lower switch, which is building 1. Okay with this? And I will give it the same host name. One is for display and one is for the command line. I'm doing this here. So look at this. This is lower building 1. I will go here and in the global settings. Picking it. So look at this. So building 1, building 2, so that you get an idea of that these two are in two different buildings. Now, if you look at this particular port, the PC1 has been assigned to VLAN number 10. Everybody else is in default VLAN 1. Now let me try pinging this guy. Will it be able to ping anybody else? Remember, they are on the same subnet. Will I be able to ping? What is my IP address first of all? 7. Now let me try pinging. Will I be able to ping? 10. I should not. It's a different VLAN. Right? Now I'm 11, 12. Different VLAN. You see that? Now they're all on different VLANs. I cannot communicate, even if they are on the same subnet, because the segmentation is happening at layer 2 here. What happened? Somebody dropped off. Somebody joined. They dropped. Okay with this, everybody? Now what my plan is, I will assign I will assign the second port also to the same VLAN. So let me do that. I am going to the lower switch. I'm going to the second port and I will make this also part of the sales VLAN. Okay with this? Now let's see. What was that? What was that precise name? PC2, is it? Yeah. Okay. PC2 was 12. So now theoretically I should be able to ping 12. Right? I can. Because they are part of my VLAN on the same switch. Now what I'm going to do is, what was the original idea? Now this has to be engineering, right? So I'm changing it to VLAN 20 and I will go and make this guy VLAN 10. Okay with this? So what I do is I go back here, I go to the lower switch. What was the design? This was actually supposed to be port number 2 was supposed to be 20. So they will not be able to ping. It's obvious. Now what I do is I'm going to go to the other switch, the first port, I will make it part of sales. Once I make it part of sales, right, I am PC0 and this is PC1. So 10 should be able to ping 11. Or no? I told you that if you were in a different switch on the same VLAN, you'll be able to communicate. Right? But where is the VLAN number carried? In the tag of a trunk link. Yes or no? We never made these two ports which are going between the two switches trunks. Those are access ports. These are VLAN 1 ports. So if VLAN 10 traffic, you have to put that tag of VLAN 10. It will go here. This guy will take out that VLAN 10 tag and then send it to this device. Yes or no? We have not made them trunks yet. So well, okay guys, it's been a while. So I will try to do it from the GUI if I can. And if that does not happen, then we will see. So what I'm doing is I'm changing it to a trunk. 23 and 24 are not access ports anymore. Do you see spanning tree started doing its own shit again? Did you see that? Because the moment that happened, the kind of code, because spanning tree runs, one separate spanning tree runs for every VLAN. Right now on that code, spanning tree was running only for VLAN 1. Now, because I have made it a trunk code, now spanning tree theoretically has to run for VLAN 1, which is the default, and VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Three spanning trees have to run. Because those are the three VLANs which I have created. So now look at it, it is still doing, it is not forwarded yet. Everything remaining the same, again 23 will start forwarding. There you go. You see this? Now, when I ping from sales PC to sales PC, it should ping. You understand what I'm trying to say? There you go. Do you see that? It's not same but different. Different switches, but it did not work the first time because I had not created trunk. Yes, I did not create trunk. Now theoretically, what bandwidth is available between the two switches? There are 24 100 MB ports and 2 gig ports, right? So I have done port number 23 and 24, I believe, is between the two of them. So that means 100 plus 100, 200 Mbps, full duplex, 400 theoretical max. But did one of them shut down? It did, right? Because of spanning tree. So let us see. I go to command line. So whenever you see this, this is the interface configuration mode. Okay. If you say Control C, you will come back to this. This is the mode, enable mode or privilege mode, where all the show commands run. I am going to say show spanning tree. So look at this. It is showing you port number 23 is forwarding and port number 24 is blocking. Do you see that? Ignore the gig ports. Do you see this? This is forwarding. See, that is this is 10, this is connected to the router, forget it for now. But between 23 and 24, 23 is forwarding, 24 is blocking. Because of spanning tree, it has shut down a redundant link automatically. Okay. Now, did we talk about ether channels? If we make them part of an ether channel, then it will take it as one big pipe and both will start forwarding. Okay, that negotiation happens using LACP, Link Access Control Protocol, or port aggregation protocol, which is a Cisco thing. So forget anything. Cisco LACP will work between any firewall, any switch, any router, any server we support. Okay. So how do we go and do that? So what I'm going to do is, didn't we change the name of this? I had copied. Acha, spaces are not allowed. That is why it has an issue. Now it should be okay. All right, I didn't see that error message. Okay. Lower. So we are in the lower switch. What I'm going to do is, I will go to interface. Let me go to the command line. I will say interface fast Ethernet 0 by 23. I can do this individually. There is something called interface range. I could use that when I configure a bunch of ports with something identical. I could have done this here. I don't want to. Maybe here I will do it manually. In the other one, I'll do it together. So what I'm saying this. I'm saying so look at this. It has to have enough unique characters for the tab to work. So channel group, I'm making ether channel. Basically what I'm going to do is I give it a number and all the ports which are part of it will become part of that channel. Channel group 1 and I say mode, and bottom line is active will enable LACP unconditionally. That means I am manually setting it as a ether channel. Right? And now what I'm going to do is I will go to 24, up arrow, down arrow works, and again hit this, and I have made 23 and 24 part of ether channel. Now, what if you go and see, it is down because one side is ether channel, the other side I have not configured. I have configured trunks, but not the channel itself. So now what I will do is I will go to the upper one. Okay. Now I will go to the command line and I will say interface range F023 space dash F024. Do you see that? It's saying an interface range command. Right? And now basically I'm configuring both the ports together. What I'm doing is, I'm saying channel group 1, that number has to match both the sides. Mode active. Here also I'm unconditionally doing it. Before I hit enter, look, I want you to see the condition. And now I say active. It says channel is up. Do you see what is happening there? Both the ports are down. Do you see this? Both of them have become orange. It is in use. Okay. Okay, I jumped the gun a little early. I said, why the hell has it not come up? Okay, now you see that I have manually overwritten spanning tree. Spanning tree is going to see the same thing as one big bundle. So now, remember, I'll go back to the lower one earlier when we were in the lower one, right? Okay. Show spanning tree. Now look at this. It is telling port channel 1 is forwarding. There is no reference to F0 by 23 and F0 by 24. F stands for fast internet. Now you see port channel because it's a ether channel. You see that? This is too complicated. Mr. Fair's PD.
Earlier we had one of the port, the spanning tree protocol was enabled. So one of
Spanning tree is now also enabled. Spanning tree is still enabled. But the catch is now spanning tree is taking both of them as a bundle. Port channel 1 bundle. Earlier, when you saw it earlier, if you remember, it was 23, 24, and 24 was gone. Right, exactly. Okay with this, everybody? Yes, no? Type is shared. Ah, yes. It's not a point-to-point link, it's a shared link. So that's not spanning tree itself is a freaking bundle link. The goal here is you need to understand spanning tree. This is spanning tree, will shut it down. We have set up ether channel between the firewalls or between the firewall and the server. So you need to understand what is going on between the things. That's it.
so this would take it entire bandwidth.
Yes. Yes. Look at the cost. Normal cost was 19. Again, predetermined by IEEE, you can play with it. But because this is a bigger bundle, it has gone down to 9. Cost is a number associated with a speed of a link given by IEEE by default, based on which spanning tree does the math on which port. Well, this freaking switch is running an older version of spanning tree where this and this is actually having the same speed. Point number 1. Or maybe that gate port on the other side is connected to the fast Ethernet, and that is why it has auto negotiated the speed. Though the port is gig, but it has come down to 100. which in this case is the case. Reason for that being because it is connected to that router and this model of the router has only 100 MB ports. So it is actually not doing anything. Plus, there is a layer 2 protocol and there is a standard equivalent show CDP neighbors. This shows you on which port you are connected to. So now this should answer. There is a router connected on my this particular port, and this is on the fast port. So big port is connected to the server which is at fast Ethernet. Because I had done this first and then I had to connect the server. I thought the server would have a gate port, but it does not have a gate. So look at this. It is basically telling you I am connected to these devices on these ports. Cisco Discovery Protocol, Layer 2 protocol, which automatically detects directly connected Cisco neighbors. It is good for understanding the topology for troubleshooting, but you should ideally not run it where you have somebody on the other side not possible. Because they will understand, you can see more details. So I'll say, I just said show CDP neighbors. Now I will say details. Now look at this. It is giving you your whole honesty, including things like what platform it is, what version of operating system it is using, which release. Which means you normally turn off CDP where you are talking to non-trusted devices or your service provider because you don't want them to use this information to bring it. But again, this is a Cisco Discovery Protocol, this is a Cisco thing. Now we have an open standard, which is very common to use, LAD. Link Layer Discovery Protocol. So LADP will give you the same kind of thing between any two devices. It's support LAD. CDP Cisco. Okay with this? It's telling you that this is my switch. That is the version it is using. The platform everything is can be scaled. Okay with this, everybody? Till now, whatever we have done, are you clear with this? We took care of the spanning tree, we manually overrode the spanning. We made a ether channel. You saw when everybody was on the same VLAN number 1, they could talk to you. We moved one guy to another VLAN, this guy could talk to nobody. We made somebody else on the other switch part of that VLAN, they could still not talk because the links between the two switches were not trans. So that tagging and untagging was not happening. Once we made that run, you saw that started working. And now I will go to the final part of it.
So this show CDP that's being run from the low build.
You can run on any Cisco device, show CDP, yeah.
But once this thing gets there, then it show the details of the image.
It will not show you VLANs, it will only show you what device, what platform, which port.
The nearby.
Of your directly connected devices, Cisco devices, not VLANs. VLAN database can theoretically be created only in one switch and shared across the environment. For that, we need what is called VLAN container. We could do that, but that's for administrative needs. From the learning perspective, nothing much to do. This is lower switch only, man. Lower building 1. Look at the name.
So their server is connected, but that is.
Server, where are you seeing? Server is not Cisco. Cisco Discovery Protocol. It will tell your directly connected Cisco neighbors. So unless you had a Cisco server sitting somewhere, it will not talk CDP. So you want to do that? LLD. Link Layer Discovery Protocol. Okay with this? Yes. Now what I have to do is, I will go to the upper switch and I'll go to the upper switch and this one is in VLAN 10. This one I will put it in VLAN 20 and everything should work. There you go. I'll put it in VLAN 20, right? Do you see that this guy is also going through spanning tree? It had become orange, which is actually lame if you think about it. It should ideally not do that, right? It's an end device. But the catch is, like I told you, the way switches are designed, they're designed for shift to happen. So it could be a hub, it could be a switch. So that is why it normally runs that. But what you could do is, I'll go here. I will go to that port. Okay. Spanning tree port fast. If I do this, this is complaining, man. Okay, now it should be all okay. So now what I'm going to do is port fast means I'm effectively disabling spanning tree on port number 2. So now let me go here. Let me go here. Let me turn off this port. See that? Down? Link is down. Let me turn it on. It's up. You saw that it never went through the process. The port fast basically I'm saying, I'm telling the switch, boss, don't worry. On this port, loop will not happen. Don't be extra cautious. Straight away start forward. Thing comes up, start forward. Don't do spanning. It has got timer system there ready. Half a dozen variants of spanning tree. We're not here to become specialists in talking. But everybody understands what's happening? Now, when I go, so now if I said, so PC0, this is VLAN 10, right? And PC1 is also VLAN 10. This should be 20. All right. So now what I do is, see, they are all still in the same subnet. Let me see whom I can talk to, right? So I go to, right now I'm in 13. 13 means I'm in PC3. PC3 means the top right PC. So I say ping 10.1.1.10. This guy is on my switch. I should not be able to ping because this guy is in a different VLAN, right? Now, if I look at 11, I'm not able to ping because I'm pinging from here. It is pinging this guy, which is in a different VLAN. Even if it is in my subnet, I should not be able to ping. But if I look at PC2 will be 12, this should work. So I can talk to machines in my VLAN if they belong to a different subnet. Do you understand this? Yes, no. Huh? Now what I would want you to do is, I would want you to try doing it on your own machine. Whatever we have done till now, whatever questions you have, call me and once you do set up, I will be, if I should be able to explain. Topology is already there, so you don't have to do anything on the topology. The rest of the stuff, give the IP addresses, create those VLANs, create a trunk, create Ether channels, and see whether these things work. This whole exercise, it should be on your PCs installed. For the remote people, you give them instructions. Because my package file will not work unless it is on that version. Because it's right in the morning, if they do the latest version, let them Google on that version which are written on WhatsApp, download that and import this file. They will still need to use their ID and everything, but it may not necessarily work on the current package which is the version on the site. 30 minutes. It's 11, your clock is slow.
11:13, it should be done by this, with this. Yeah, check them, it should be installed in all the machines. Your version should be, I think, that only, right? All the machines here should be running that version and it should already be installed. So you can move somewhere else where there's a newer version. Simple. Because right now I'm pretty much done with the switching component. Now I will start doing with the static routing default looping. Or else you can, even if you have a newer version, you can just click and drop. You can rebuild this. You want me to rebuild? I can come quickly and rebuild once you log in. You're logged in? Okay. You're also running the version. 8.1. 8.1, you should be able to import my content. Is it working? With the WhatsApp? Does he have email? It's not no bad. Yeah, it should work well. That is the Gmail, right? You will open it. thing I have got. That's this. You can save this also. So we made it to using the case of that. Huh? That you will do it, that you will do it. As he goes, he will start getting stuck, he'll follow. Yeah, how are we doing? First of all, if you look at on both the switches, show spanning tree should show you that both the ports are forwarding on the top switch and well, the bottom one is blocking. Are you able to see that? What you will think you would have because I created the switch first at the top and then at the bottom. Something show spanning tree or forwarding or should be blocking. Why? So why? So the story is this. Two are forwarding and here only one is forwarding because see for this one theoretically it should have been a hub. If both the sides stop blocking, that hub have fallen off the network. That is why at least in one side will be forwarding. It serves no purpose here, but if it was a hub, it would have served a purpose. They're not given an IP account. Yeah, so you go here. Yeah, all the PCs you need to give IPs first, right? Give the IPs and change the MAC addresses. Well, not the whole MAC address, at least the last 2-3 characters. I do it for 4. For anything to work, your IP address should be first, right? You can do spanning tree, show spanning tree, but give your IP addresses. As of now, use these IP addresses only. And then what we will do is, once we show you the routing, the second component of this, we will put both of these guys in different subnets. Once we put them in different subnets, we will need the router to do the routing between them.
We don't.
You could do it theoretically with BTP, only on masters. Maybe when we do the final one then. See, right now I did the line part. Then we do static routing and inter-VLAN routing. Then we go into routing protocols. Then we do a composite lab. When we do a composite lab, when I build two campuses, tell me that you'll create only one and the other one should run. That's very good. It is good and that. Two will be a 0. How is it in the? Would have for your getting calculated. No. What is the last minute? Yeah, 0. It should give it an IP address, no? Dot 10, dot 11, dot 12. That is for IP6. So go back to this. Click on something. Go to this. Click on that. Basically, just send anything less than F or less. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 will also do, so that you are able to identify them uniquely. Yes, Mr. Niranjan, what do you want? Yeah, you made the trunk, the channel is the trunk. And it is not able to ping also.
No, it is able to ping, but it is not able to run the MAC.
How do you know that? Have you changed the MAC address to AA, BP, CC, DT? No, show MAC address to you. Not on the PC. PC is not running MAC address. Go to the switch, click on the switch. Up and enter. I can say AA and BB. This is. So this guy has not talked at all. No, ping this guy and then he will talk. No. Ping it again because it keeps flashing. Ping all the 4 and we will see all the 4. Okay, yeah, I hit 10, 11, 12, 13. Do all of them. It's not able to ping at all. Okay. It has to be learned, no.
But here it is.
As he's speaking, did it reach? If it did not reach, how will he respond?
But this is reaching.
Okay, ping it. Now see the mechanism. Whatever it is reaching, it should have run. Yeah, how the research work? If you are not understanding or it is not happening, you need to call me. Yeah, it is not about discovery, it's about learning and moving on. Because you will have a recording of this, you can go back.
So, at least this complete lab session is difficult to follow, sir, because I mean we were not able to hear in between, and then we were not. I mean, at least it is difficult for me to even interrupt because you are going on the flow, and then if I had to disturb, then I have to disturb every time because I can only see the whiteboard and you're talking somewhere, and in between I'm losing your words and all. I mean, the platform, this is a very difficult.
I don't know the.
Yeah, we're just having a lab session now with the ones present here. So sir is clarifying doubts. Yes.
There is no point for them to listen on that.
Yes. So sir is not teaching anything right now. So it's just clarifying doubts and checking with how everyone's able to
I mean,
handle that.
yeah, no, Rojal, I mean, this is right. I mean, we are not concerned about what's happening now, but like what happened until now is a bit difficult to follow.
Okay.
We can see the packet, but like the configuration and all we have seen, and then we lost audio in between and all. I mean, this is what my concern is.
Yeah, you can install the same version of Cisco Packet Tracer, which is 8.1.1, and then import the file from LMS. There's a base topology file that you can see. That's
Yeah,
here.
I have installed and I was able to, I mean, open this, but like I really missed the setting up the VLANs, different VLANs, and trying to configure the IP addresses and all these things.
If you have any doubts, you can share your screen and then sir will be able to see and he'll be able to help you out.
It's not about doubt and all, but I missed the whole context. So sorry.
Okay.
Because if I start sharing means I will share the directly the packet file which SAR has shared. So if you have time to rebuild the whole thing in my machine, I'm happy. I can share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your screen. Tell me.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because when I go, see, you might have things which are specific to your environment. So when I'm going, from student to student, I'm seeing what is working, what is not working. So unless you share your screen, we cannot do much.
Yes, sir. I have shared my screen. I mean, the only problem is like, I mean, in remote, it's getting difficult, sir. I mean, if you can at least repeat at least the whole thing in 15 minutes or something like that, all the remote people will be a bit happy. I mean,
Okay,
at
I
least
can do that. I can do that right now. Do you want me to?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Everybody, you guys also have been getting stuck in the middle. So what I will do is, and you came late. What happened, man? There was no traffic also. That excuse does not work. You'll have to come with. Huh?
My train came late.
Then there is no solution for that, man. Oh man. All right. So now, okay. So then you stop sharing, and then let me let me redo the whole thing for people. All right. So now you have shared this.
Yes. So Mac understood. Yes. Because by default, it is actually how the plan gets executed. And by default, every port is in dynamic design. Because if you send me 802.1 packet, and which can be a security issue, because one monkey will connect, but your one port into one port. Now you can come traffic to all the lines. You can follow.
Okay, all right, guys. You're listening to me. I'm going to do everything again. I'm not going to
Yes.
do everything again. I'm going to go to individual parts and show you what has been done.
Okay.
So first of all, let's look at this. Now, essentially between the two switches, I'm on the upper switch right now. And if you look at this, I have created two VLANs. VLAN 10 is sales, VLAN 20 is engineering. Clear with me?
Yes, sir.
And I have done the same thing in both the switches. However, I could have been lazier about it if my trunking was already configured. I could run what is called VLAN trunking protocol or VTP, in which I create the database in one and it gets copied over through a trunk link to the other one. Okay, so I've created those two VLANs, which I will do on both of them. And essentially, you see that I go to VLAN database, I punch in the VLAN number and the name. Name is of no significance. Well, it's for you to understand, but between the machines, it is only looking at the tag. Now what I've done is I have gone, I already told you between 23 and 22, I have created trunks. So these from this part of the drop down menu, by default, they would have been in access mode. I have basically changed them to trunk. And the moment I change them to trunk, you see the VLANs which are allowed is from 1 to 1005. These are for regular VLANs, extended VLAN go up to 409 for general knowledge. Okay. Now,
Yeah, sir. 1 second, sir. Can you help us how to create this VLANs in the Cisco Packet Tracer?
in the command line, or you want me to do it here?
Yeah, here in the UI.
There you go. I'm doing 30 VLAN 30. This is there you go. I say add. You see that?
Yes, sir.
As long as I have not assigned any ports to it, it should really make no difference. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now everybody knows how to create VLANs. Everybody knows how to make trunk ports. Yes. Don't play with this side. This side, see, if I did access, it'll say, okay, which VLAN do you want it to be part of? But no, what I'm doing is I'm making it a trunk. And every time I play with this, you will see spanning tree will start screwing around. Okay with this? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now that I've done this, I also told you that I also told you. So I go to enable. I say show run. Okay. I'm going to go down to look at these two. What I've done is I have put both of them as part of port channel 1. And that is the reason both the sites went into forwarding. It is written here also. You saw that? This is something which you can do even before creating any VLANs or anything. Yes? No?
Yes, sir.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show, and again this happens in privilege mode. Show MAC address table is showing me what MAC addresses I have learned. Remember, it keeps flushing the older entries. So unless you do a ping minus T type, it will keep learning and unlearning. Because it is trying to conserve how many MAC addresses can be learned depend on the model of the switch. Okay with this? Everybody. And then try to do the lab, don't watch. Or if you are watching now, make sure you do it by yourself once or twice. This will be your exam, by the way. Our TRIM09 in the background. That is your work one. You know, working World War III would have started, right? First day only it was started. Now, spanning tree, look at that first entry. Instead of 23, 24, it is showing you port channel 1. The trick is happening here. Ping 1. Now what I've done is I have gone to individual ports. If I look at the configuration and assign them to VLAN 10 for the left side PC, and port number 2 is VLAN 20, which is the right side. Once you do this and your trunking is working fine, you will be able to ping every device within your VLAN. So let's go here. Let me look at my IP config. Right, I am 11110. Let me look at my R table. If I look at this, it has all those entries right now. This is from the older ones because the timeout of this would be higher. Let me try pinging again. You can ping 11, which is my VLAN. On the other switch, I should not be able to ping 12 and 13. Because they are different VLANs, it makes a difference whether it is my switch or it is not. And once I see this, this apparently has not got flushed yet.
So this 13 IP is for server.
Server has not been touched till now.
Okay, because
13 is PC number 3. PC number 3 happens to be the top right switch machine.
okay.
Yeah. Okay with this, everybody? Lower one, let me just check. That happened. So if I look at this, this is VLAN 10, this is VLAN 20, and this one is not a freaking trunk. That is why it was freaking out. No, no, this is the wrong one. This really makes no difference. This 23. Okay. Okay with this? Any questions? Because that is my design. Your question is, why is port number 1 VLAN 10 and why is port number 2 VLAN 20? Because let's assume we had one switch on this floor. We know this classroom is VLAN 10. So we know basically there is a numbering that happens on these cords. Where they end up, all those one, let's assume there are 1 dozen machines, we will make them VLAN 10, this is classroom number 1. The other 1 dozen which are coming, the patch cords which are coming from the next classroom, we will, wherever we plug them, we'll make them VLAN 20.
So it's basically following the upper switches.
I'm telling in real life, there are a bunch of machines connected. 1 dozen are coming from right side, 1 dozen are coming from left side. I'm going to plug them into my switch. I know the left side is sales VLAN because the sales guys are sitting there. And the right is engineering VLAN. So that is why I'm statically configuring that the moment somebody logs in, he becomes part of VLAN engineering 20.
You need to have
let's say in this case, we have two switches. We're creating two VLANs in each switch for.
Because you had two departments. If you had 50 departments, you would create 50 VLANs and assign wherever those guys connect those ports. Right? If you look, so essentially, if you see from there, come here. Come here, quick. If you are interested, if you are too lazy, you can sit there, no issue. But essentially, if you look at all these cables, they are coming from there. Ideally, you will tag them on both sides. Once they are coming, do you see these tag numbers? Okay, this is basically the passport, which is the other end of your site. It is an extension of your NIC card. From here, when I plug it into this, I know that these 8 were first row machines. These 8 were second row, these 8 were the third row. So if I wanted, these are going to be 3 different departments. When I connect this to my switch, I will say first 8 ports VLAN 10, next 8 ports VLAN 20, VLAN 30. Look at those numbers. That is how I decide based on physically where people are sitting. This is static configuration of VLAN. There is a dynamic way of doing it as well, which is a shittier way where freaking you'll have a lot of jobs, right, doing useless shit, where your MAC address is pre-fed. The moment you plug it in, based on the MAC address, it will auto-configure that this MAC address belongs to VLAN number 33. That is also doable. But it is useless because we can spoof the MAC address. Second thing is, anytime things change, you need to go and manually change the database. But if you are doing it anytime, you are doing it from a security viewpoint, it's lame. And that is why nowadays, if you have heard of these terms, zero trust network access. You don't trust the machine, you don't trust the bloody application, you don't trust the person. Okay with this, everybody? Okay, we are taking a 10-minute tea break. For everybody else who is there, I have pretty much demoed everything. Okay, the only thing I did not demo was the PC part. So let's go to the PC part. In PC, I go to the configuration and I go to the fast Ethernet. This is where I change the MAC address, IP address, and the subnet mask. Once I'm able to do that, I go to the desktop and I'm able to look at the ARC table. Okay, in 10 minutes, we'll be back. You guys do it.
Sir, how to assign the particular PCs to a particular VLAN? This is something that
You don't on the PC, I have connected this PC. So if you look at this, right?
Yeah.
If I go to this, it basically will tell you that it is fast Ethernet 0. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Right. So this has only one Ethernet port and I have connected it to port number 1 of this. I have connected it to port number 1 of this particular switch. So the VLAN assignment and configuration will happen at the switch level. The PCs don't know anything about it. On the switch, I go to that interface and look at this. I have told this is an access port belonging to VLAN number 10. And the second one is connected to this, which is also access. It is connected to VLAN number 20. The moment you create the VLANs, it will show up in the drop-down menu.
Okay.
Are you able to ping all of them? Can you ping? Because when you ping, this article doesn't mean all of them. Are you created those two aspects? Correct. So you pick within your VLAN, right? That's all. Within VLAN. Yeah. Different VLAN now what? At layer 2 is segmented. If you're repeating the very purpose, it will never be able to ping. If it is not able to ping, how will it learn?
Sales guys will never talk to engineering. Yes, no. That is where we are now. What you are talking about is inter-VLAN. We have not gone to that part. That is why that router is sitting there. No, they were not able to.
No, when you say doing all three.
Yeah, that was because initially when I had ping, when they were all in VLAN 1, it is from them.
Okay, I thought maybe it
No.
was some other conflict.
No, there is no other count. Then you are having three or no?
Sir, how can I verify by opening the switch configuration that like my how can I verify? Hello.
Yeah, I'm hearing. Tell me. Yes.
Yeah, how can I verify if I open the switch configuration? How can I verify that like my PC is connected to which port of my switch in the packet tracer?
Have you changed? Have you changed? Have you changed the MAC addresses of the PCs?
Yes, sir, I have changed.
Then you go to enable mode. Wherever you are there, do a control C. Okay, or exit. Type enable and type show MAC address table. In MAC address table, it will tell you which MAC address it has learnt on which port.
Okay.
If you don't see anything, go to that PC, try pinging any freaking IP address, which may or may not exist in your network. The moment you ping it, it will send a packet out with which the switch will be able to learn.
Okay.
The national consumer board event. They're telling you to give the car back and buy another vehicle with the balance discount. It's not for you to get it back. Okay. If I tell my working car, this is only a 20. I think you should have told this one before. I don't have one. The other guy is there, who is equal, but you know, there's I told you right, she don't want to be retail guy was murdered by the boyfriend of the girl in the action. The Ring 2005. So you should go from being landing take off. That moment that next week will be open. And there is no question of 14 years if people say life imprisonment is yes, life imprisonment is for life. These are needed 14 years. Because I don't see you right now. I see both of them separately. That is the term in my mind. Ether channel is not done. Trunking has been done. Ether channel is not done. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Is it on, off, whatever? I don't even know what's going on. Our boy is working from home.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear. Okay, any questions?
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, tell me. I hope you ask me an easy question.
Yeah, it's not a question, but I would like to show my screen to see the problem.
Okay. Okay, so let's see your screen.
Yes, sir. I have configured like MAC addresses, and I have configured all the ports and all. And then if I see this, well, this connection is not up.
It is not up. It is up. Spanning tree has shut it down. Spanning tree has shut down one port because that's a loop.
Okay.
Very good.
And another question is, if
Did you understand my answer? Did you understand my answer?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir. I have understood.
if you create a ether channel, that will be taken care of. I need the AC on and it should officially work, or open the window or break the glass. Yeah, tell me.
Now
Yeah,
you
next
have
question.
you have connected two PCs. I mean, okay. Yeah, I'm clear, sir, with the first answer.
Okay, so right now if you see all our PCs were in the same subnet, right? You can have the same IP addresses across network because they are never going to see each other. But if you want routing to work, they should be in different subnets. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make changes. Now what I will do is sales. Sales will be 10.1.1.10 and 20. And engineering will be 10.1.2.10 and 20. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Huh? Okay.
This is full fun. I'll come in freaking sleeveless and shorts next time. Seriously, this is getting way too hot for me. Okay, what were we doing? Achha, we were here. Okay. Okay, guys, you can see my screen now. Yes. So the top one is 10.1.1.10. The bottom one, I will change the IP address to.
Sir, we can't see your screen. It's not sharing anything. Yeah, now fine, result. Yeah.
I would read
Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am in the lower PC, sales PC. What I'm going to do is I'm going to the interface and 10.1.1.20. Okay. And eventually at some point in time, what I'm going to do is I am going to have a default gateway will be 10.1.1.1. Okay, so I'm configuring that also now itself. Okay, because that will be the way I actually send traffic out of my subnet, which has to again belong to my subnet. And now I go to this, it is 2.10 with the gateway of 2.1. Okay, once again, interface. Okay, and I go to the other one. Well, it is doing. My Ethernet is 2.20 and my gateway is 10.1.2.1. Okay with this? Everybody clear? Yes.
Yes,
No.
sir. Yes, sir.
Now, what I'm going to do is port number 10 of both the switches are connected to the router. Okay with this? Yes, no. What I'm going to do is port number 10, I will make it go to VLAN number 10 because this is going to become my default gateway for VLAN 10. And on the second switch, port number 10, I am going to make it part of VLAN 20 because this will become my default gateway for VLAN 20. I will go to the router and I will, in terms of configuration, my first IP I'm changing the MAC address. IP address is 10.1.1.1. Subnet mask is 255.255.0. Okay, this is my first interface and I'm going to my second interface where again I'm changing to BB and IP address is 10.1.2.1 with a /24 IP address. Okay with this? So when I do controls show IP route, this shows me the routing table. So forget the L part, but you see 10.1.10 and 10.1.20 are my directly connected subnets. What that basically means is it is a connected subnet. That means it has not been taught to this router. It is connected. The moment I give the IP address and the interface came out, I have those two entries. And it's telling if I need to send any traffic to anything 10.1.10 series, send it on F00. And if I have to send traffic to 10.1.20 series, send it to F01 interface. Okay with this? Yes. Now let me try pinging 10.1.2.10. Am I able to ping? Do you see that the first one I lost first packet? Did you see that? Because it was trying to do ARC resolution. Now when I do it, I get all done. Okay with this? Now look at this. I'm able to ping 10 dot. Now let me look at this. Even now Phew, this is funny. Unless I have interchanged those interfaces which are actually connected. But it is 1 and 2, na? This is connected to both of them. This is 10.1.1.0 and 10.1.1.10. So let me try pinging this guy's gateway. Ping 10.1.1.1. I'm not able to ping this guy. Okay, so if I'm not able to ping this guy, I will go to this switch. This is in VLAN 10, and I believe that was port in VLAN 10. Till here, I'm okay. Let me go here and IP interface 10.1.1.1. It is up, protocol is up. Okay, show CDP neighbor. F00, I've got connected to building 2, which is my second building. And this is building 1, which is my lower one. This one is port 1 is VLAN 20. This one, port 10, should be VLAN 10. Router is on my gig 01. It is not on my F010. Is it? Yes. So what I do is I go to the config. This is still in VLAN. Done. Spanning tree is doing its own shit, so it will come up. There you go. I had basically put the wrong port on. I thought it was port 10 on both of them. It was gig. And now you understand how CDP helps you in figuring out how you are physically connected, because the router will be somewhere you may not be able to physically see it. So now basically if I do it, now my inter VLAN routing is configured. So let me go here. Now see, I could not earlier ping. Now 10, 1, 2, 10. I should be able to ping via the router. Now if I do a trace, look at this, it is going to my router, which is my default gateway, and then it is going to the other side. There you go. Okay with this? Now let me show you my arc table. Arc table, I don't need to know the other side, right? I only need to have the MAC address ending with the A for my router. Do you see that? The other entries are old entries. I don't want to do this. Okay with this, all of you? So basically, when you look at the IP address and the subnet mask, so let's say this is my IP address 10.1.1.99, and this is my subnet mask /24. If I am connecting to anything where the first 3 octet destinations, first 3 octets match, I will send an R directly to the end device. So it was like instead of 99, it was dot 100. It is in my broadcast domain. But if I have to send where these 24 bits change, that means 10.2.1.99, I will talk to my gateway. Send an ARC for the MAC address of the gateway and send the traffic to the gateway. It is his job to do job. So if you look at this, this is one way of doing inter-VLAN routing. Okay, this is one way of doing inter-VLAN routing. The screw up with this is, well, we had, if you look at the picture, I had two VLANs. I put one on port in one on VLAN and that became the default gateway for that VLAN. What if I had 100 VLANs? See that? You don't get routers with 100 ports. That is why you get a multi-layered switch where this functionality is built into the switch. So it is basically a router, and within the fabric of the switch, it is able to do this with the VLAN router. In real life, you will not see this, but what you will see in real life is this. So I'll take this. What do you select now? I go to this and select. Yeah. Anyway. So what I will do is, let's say this second port did not exist. Okay, so the second port F0 by 1, right, which is connected to the lower switch. Yeah. What I'm going to do is I will shut it down. Taken off the IP address, shut it down. Now I have the upper one. What I can do is what is called router on a stick. With router on a stick, what I can do is I can take one interface of the router, create sub interfaces. Routers don't understand VLANs. I will have to additionally tell it to start doing the VLAN tagging. On the switch side, I will have to make it a trunk. Now inter-VLAN routing is traffic will go to the router, it will change the tag, send it back. That is what I am trying to do. It is called router on a stick. I should probably have a. So now what I do is I say interface gigabit 0. What was the other one? What is the 0 by 1? No. Acha, gigabit was on the other side. So F0 by 0.20. This, look at this. I'm telling anything you're sending out on this sub interface. On the physical interface, I've already given an IP address. Okay. If I am sending out anything on this sub interface, what I need to do is use the tag of 20. So I'm saying IP address is 10.1.2.1, 255, 255, 255.0. Okay, I've created a sub interface. I'll show it to you again. And what I'm doing is now I'm going to interface F0 by 0, no IP address. I've taken that IP address out. And what I'm doing is I'm creating another sub interface dot 10. This will be the default gateway of my VLAN 10. Let me show you the configuration. If you look at this, there is no IP address on the interface. I have created two sub interfaces .10 and .20. I have matched it with the VLAN number for simplicity. It does not have to match, but for troubleshooting, it will be easy that I know .10 is my VLAN 10 and this is the default gateway for VLAN 10. Why I had to do this? Because trunking by default does not happen on a switch, on a router. So I'm artificially telling that, you know what? If you send anything on this sub interface, use this tag. On the switch side, remember it is right now a access code belonging to VLAN 10. I will make that a trunk also. And same thing I've done. This is my default gateway for this. So now the traffic when it comes, it is going to come here, get routed back when I'm doing inter VLAN and it will be sent. So let us see. Now what I'm going to do is I will go to the config gigabit 0 by 1 and I will make this a trunk port. And just to be sure, I will turn it on and off. Ah, it still got its own shit happening here. What's happening here? It supports only one, so. Okay. Switch port mode trunk. Now let's look at this. Now what I'm going to do is I will go here again and my spanning tree is doing its own thing, so it's taking time. You see that it is turning green now. There you go. So it has gone. This is called router on a stick. So this is a cheaper solution if you are running a small branch office and you have multiple, your firewalls can do this as well. So this is router, it's like on a stick, you create bunch of sub interfaces and it will go there and come back. But routers don't do encapsulation by default. That's why I had to type in that extra command on the sub interfaces. Okay with this? Yes, no? From here, it was going here, then it was coming here, and then it was coming here. This was original. Now from here, it is going there. It is putting a new tag, coming back and sending it. That is what has changed. Because with two VLANs, I could do easily what I had to, but not with three. Now, let us get to the. Everybody clear with this? Now I'm going to the server part of it. Now on the server, I go to the server. This I believe is connected to port 10, is it? Or on the gig port. I think gig 01, right? No, here it was router. Well, simple story. I'm seeing things on port channel 1. Okay, I'm not able to see who. Show. Huh? Yeah, so I will play with the MAC address. That will be much more easier. I will play with the MAC address of the server and figure out where the hell that is. Yeah. So I come here. Why I'm not able to see? Because I've not given it an IP address. Yeah. So what I will do is, and I want it to talk. So what I will do is, I will give it an IP address 10.1.100. Okay. Default gateway 255.255.0. And gateway, my gateway would still remain 10.1.1.1 because it's in the one subnet. Okay with this? Yeah. Only thing is, not the browser. It's a broadcast ping, may not really do the job, but let's see in case switch learned anything. G01. You see that? Yeah. So G01, I made it. I'm going to make it part of VLAN 10 because I've given it the one series address, right? What was the address? 10.1.1, right? That was the first subnet, right? 100. So that will be VLAN 10. So I go down, make it an access VLAN 10. Okay with this? So let spanning tree do its thing. I can do it faster by turning on mode pass. Why should I do encapsulate? It's an access layer. I have made that part of VLAN 10, which is part of these two. That was I was doing inter VLAN routing on a router. Yes. Yes, because routers don't understand VLANs. Yes. Yes. Because that is an extra thing the router will have to do. Here, all the 4 machines and the server is an access VLAN. All right, so now let me go here. So we have the browser. So 10.1.1.100. There you go. Do you see that? Because web service is already on that server. Okay with this? Yes, no, maybe. So this is within my VLAN, right? But since my inter VLAN routing is already set up, what I can do is I should be able to go from other VLAN also. Okay. So I can go to my server. Yes, no. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it more exciting. So let's go here. I'm going into the services. Okay. In the services, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the service. What would be the service? Right? Do you see that? So I'm saying if I type reva.com, resolve it to this IP address. Yeah. And I have turned on that service. Now what I will do is I'm just going to click here and there so that it takes effect and I know. Now what I need to do is this will not normally work. The reason for that being because I have not given the DNS. See that? So I need to give that DNS to all the machines that going forward use this as my DNS server. And as you know, that does not have to be in my subnet. Everybody knows about 8888. See that DNS resolution is happening. So first it is going to the DNS server who is reva.com. For that it is going to 10.1.100. That resolution happens. Then it connects to the web service. Okay with this? Yes, no, too complicated. So what's for lunch today, man? Same. Yeah. Yeah. Now we talked about DHCP, right? Now this is in the same broadcast domain. What we will do is I will say my plan is PC2 and PC3. No, both of them are engineering. Screw it. PC1 and PC3. I will make them DHCP clients. So first of all, what I will do is for PC1, I will show you this first. I go to the DHCP service. Okay. So I say VLAN 10 pool. For VLAN 10, 10.1.1.1 is the default gateway. Yes. 10.1.1.100 is this. Right. Start IP address 200. This 10.1.1.200 is what I am going to give. Do you understand this? This is what, when anybody sends me a request for an IP address, this is the IP address I'm going to. Starting from 200 to obviously 250,000. Based on some. Everybody okay? Any doubts? This is the market of the market. But we just basically this Manuland, I two views, one is the bank and one activity is reduced down the bank and it's out for the and first isn't that no? This is the investment that is in casual. Okay with this? So now basically what my plan is, now remember in my broadcast domain, anybody in this subnet will get this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to PC1 and say, you know what? I will get my IP address through DHCP. And just for fun, I will bounce the interface. Okay with this? Yeah. And one more thing I would want to do is Close. It maybe did not take it. Now I'm just wondering if it will try. It should have taken it. Let me go and see if it is not happening, then see. This is what is called a APIPA address. DSCP failed. So if I look at this, I have on sales, I have F01 and gigabit this. Let me see if I can ping 10.1. Okay, I'm on the switch. Pinging on the switch does not. There you go. Service was not turned on. Okay with this? It should ideally not. And Git gateway also it should not. Gateway has not come in. Okay, when I turned it on, it screw this. No, no, no. First of all, this let me see. It will not let me delete this. If I do this for VLAN number, default gateway, it is taking it from the default pool. Okay. So, okay, well, let me delete this. Okay, I don't want to do too much research. Default gateway is 10.1.1, no, 1.1, right? Okay, DNS is 10.1.1.100, right? Starting IP address is 200. So I'm saving this. So server pool, this is a default. Okay, this is all virtual, man. So it's okay. The service, when I turned it on and off and it apparently did not take it, it's okay, no problems. Now what I will do is I will go here again. I will go to static and I will try to pull it. There you go. You saw that? Now the fun part is this will work fine for VLAN number 10 because my server is in my own broadcast domain. Remember DORA happens? I said, so give me an IP address, you get an offer, then you request and acknowledge. This is the broadcast. That means by default, a router does not follow a broadcast. Yes? Yes, no. broadcast domain ends at the VLAN level. Next VLAN will not get it. Routers also will by default not forward by default. So now what I am going to do is I am going to create what is called in DHCP. I will create another scope. Okay. VLAN 20. In that, my default gateway will be 2.1. DNS will not change. Here I will give IP addresses from 202 and I say add. Do you see that? So this is what is called a scope. Otherwise, if you had 100 offices, you need 100 DHCP servers. Yes, true. This, I can create 100 scopes, right? For all the offices, different IP address, different subnet mask. DNS usually will be the same. Yes, no, maybe. Scope as in what IP address? If somebody is asking, give them an IP address out of this range. Look at this. This is sales. I am sitting in sales. I am giving an IP address from sales. But if the engineering guy asks me, I have to give it an IP address from engineering, right?
So the DHCP server will automatically request is.
Yeah. We are getting to that. But right now, the story is this. What I will do is, I will go to PC number 2. Now in PC number 2, I will say DHCP. It is screwed. Because PC number 2 broadcast will never reach the DHCP server. And that is why it has been given a APIPA address, automatic private IP address. This basically Microsoft gives it an IP address so that at least this guy will be able to talk to every machine in the same LAN. Right? It is not able to get to the DHCP server itself. Now this guy is in which VLAN? NT. So what we will have to do is we will have to go to the router and manually do an override. Okay. Show IP interface brief. Now, if you look at this, this is in 20. So what I do is I will go to interface F0 by 0.20. I'm going to that sub interface and I am saying IP helper address 10.1.1.100. If you get a broadcast on this interface, send it to this guy. I could have also done 10.1.1.255. Directed broadcast. Remember when I told you broadcast, you know it is somewhere in the Delhi subnet, you don't know the IP address. Here I do, I could have done 255, but I don't know in this virtual environment freaking it will work or not. I don't want to fly off at a tangent. But this should work. Now, I'm saying on this interface, if you get a broadcast, right? Any broadcast in this case, it does by default about half a dozen protocols it will do. DHCP is one of them. Did you see that? It is the engineering IP address starting with a 200 2.x something. Did you see this?
When we create the same with another VLAN, we did not add that helper address.
Yeah, because broadcast is not forwarded by a router by default. With helper address, I changed it. I said if you get it on this sub interface, send it to this guy. Now his question is more. How did the DHCP server know from which scope to give an IP address?
A piece is connected to VLAN 20. Any request which is
Okay, but the server is connected to VLAN 10.
but still the tag from the router.
What tag?
The request is coming from VLAN 20.
Okay, so yeah, so he's right. It is not as obvious as you make it. Right? So essentially what is happening is, That is my router on a stick. Dot 10 sub interface has an IP address of turn and dot 20 sub interface yes. On the switch, wherever it is connected, this is the trunk. Yes. On this is yes, VLAN pair. I'm missing some color, man. Blue. Okay. In 20 is client. Yes. Yes. So now if you look at it, from 20, the request goes to this interface. D of Dora, which is a broadcast. Router does not forward, but I have told the router that if you hear on this interface, okay, forward this to this IP address. So now what this guy does is when the request comes here, he forwards it to this IP. This is where what this guy talked about was tag. So within the DHCP packet, there is basically an option field where he says option 82. That means, first of all, it tells the server, I'm not sending you the request, I'm the relay. I'm acting as a relay, not a direct request, which will not happen from anywhere for within VLAN 10. And he will add this particular IP address and send it. The moment he gets that IP address, he knows which scope to match. So he figured out, oh, this is VLAN 20 request because the relay agent is in VLAN 20. So he will pick an IP address and do it. Okay with this?
Sir, we can't hear you, sir. Hello?
Yeah, tell me.
We missed this explanation, sir. We can't hear you.
Okay, so now this is the client sitting in VLAN 20. Clear?
Yeah.
The broadcast goes, it hits the dot 20 sub interface of the router. Clear?
Yeah.
I have configured a helper address that on this particular port, if you get a broadcast, send it to 10.1.100, which is my DHCP server, right?
Right.
Now the catch is maybe that DHCP server, in this case, it had two scopes. One was the default scope, one was for VLAN 20, which we created.
Right.
Maybe it has 100 scopes for Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, Madras, 10 VLANs within Bangalore, 20 VLANs in Dubai. So how does it figure out which of those 100 scopes which are configured within the DHCP server to assign an IP address and default gateway from? What it does is, when this guy forwards it in within the DHCP packet, there is something called option 82, which is checked. And in option 82, it gives the IP address of this interface which is forwarding. So based on that, the DHCP server understands option 82 is it's a relay agent. Relay agent for which subnet? Look at the IP address, and that IP address is given on the interface where it got that request. It does that matching with all the scopes, and it says, okay, this one came from 10.1.20. So I will give you the next IP from 10.1.20. Clear?
Yeah.
You should be able to run via shark and all that. Well, I can take the helper address out and I will stop working. But you understand what I'm saying. So whenever anybody talks about options, they're different like TFTP. IP phones need that. Right? So there are different options and there's an IP address associated with it with different appliances and protocols used to get the configuration. Like for IP phones, download the firmware from the TFTP server. Where is the call manager? Where do I go and register? All that is some other options which I don't remember, but there are options. 82 is a very common option. So you can probably on YouTube Google on option 82 Wireshark and somebody would have recorded and they show. Okay with this? So we are doing a router on a stick. If we had not in the earlier one, I would have done it on this interface. But not this interface, that interface. This interface because it was connected to VLAN pin.
There's a scenario, there are two gates. Yes.
Those are whoever responds first. That is why there is the R and the A. The D and O will happen. Both the guys will make an offer. Then you will request whoever responded first. So it will not get acknowledged for the other guy. It goes back to the pool. You can add one more DHCP server and you can play with this and here only you can do it.
I will configure that.
So you give starting end address 200 to 250, the other one 150 to 200. So you will know from where it came. Dude, this I have shut down this interface. Okay, from 1 hour ago. It has got no correlation with helper address. This was I was showing you I can do inter VLAN routing like this. But then if I had 50 VLANs, you are screwed. And you use a multi-layered switch. But in a smaller office, you could do this router on a stick or a firewall on a stick, which can do that job for you as well. Like when you have your firewall, it is inspecting traffic for all the VLANs. What are you doing? You're basically connecting one big ass port of the firewall to a big ass port of the switch, making it a trunk port, and this becomes a default gateway. So anytime you're talking, it will go through the firewall, which will not only look at the IP address, it will do deep packet inspection and malware and IPS and all that stuff. Okay with this? Yes, no, too complicated. Tell me what is the issue. You tell me because here I can.
Maybe I have to.
Option 82 is a tag.
No, it's fine. Because
Routing has not come in. Till now we have done static routing. By the end of the day, you will feel depressed if you are not understanding this part. Because here, this I basically just doing a switching with some default route. Routing will come in now. So you tell me what is the issue. I can probably try and explain. Maybe I will try and use a different sentence, different words to explain maybe a different example. Or give you a telco example and try and explain. But if you are having a hard time understanding this, it is going to progressively become harder because in the test you will be given, this is how I test it. This will be your test. That ABCD story will happen. I don't know what the lesson plan is when I make it, so I'm not sure there is something. So that we will do ABCD story. But final exam will be this. This will have the highest weightage, where you will be given a set of things to accomplish, and you accomplish this, you save the file, you give it to me. I will load the file and check. Okay. But I will still be fair because everything will build on everything you did before. So there is a possibility you screw up the first question. So nothing is going to work. So well, I will say, you know what, I will give you 0 on the first question. I'll give you the marks for the next question if you did it right.
Because it is not the CCI lab, because there you can, it works, you get 100, otherwise you get 0. But here I will actually be cognizant of that. Like for example, if you just configure the freaking VLANs wrong here, think about it. If you configure the VLANs wrong, nothing will work. That the VLAN 10 and 20 you changed, or between switch 1 and switch 2 you changed. The VLAN 10 became engineering in VLAN as switch 2. Because then there are different subnets, different IP addresses, everything is all screwed up. But this will be your test. So whatever is happening here, like some place you have to give an error. You need to know where to give an error.
I will not deduct marks if you give X. Like sometimes you don't know how to give freaking going, give it everywhere, somewhere it low. Right? So I will not deduct marks for that. But at least you should know that you are giving it on the say right router.
Addition of supplement bits is not possible.
Well, it did not show me the option, so that's why I did it on keyboard. Because it is not a normal thing which you normally do. I'm just doing it so that you at least understand how a LAN works now. At this point in time, you should be able to understand how a LAN works or a two-office setup works. You can think of VLAN as office 1 and office 2 if you take this middle thing out. So tell me, where is the issue? That is on the GUI. You heard the story last week. Did you see that lecture again?
So, at least when it comes to packet configuration, that I have to kind of work and have to do question back.
Okay, so yeah, so do that. But you will have a recording of this, so it should help.
Because what we'll do is right now, so okay, I'll tell you where we are going.
What is going to happen is right now this is all cool. This will become your internet route. This will be taken out of your network and this will become 8888. We will run routing in the service provider cloud. We'll not do BGP though, but we'll do a dynamic routing protocol. And then you will have another office elsewhere. And then we will tell you who can talk to whom and who cannot talk to whom.
Is it acceptable to have basically daily agents?
Okay, so his question is, would you have multiple DSCP relays agent before reaching the server? I would say it would be a bad design. Reason for that being, you have got your DSCP relay agents, good for you. Does the client know that there are multiple DSCP relay agents? If they don't get a freaking IP address in that time, a FIFA address will get. Because if they time out, if they send a DSCP request and within that time if they don't get an answer, you will get a 169 address.
Relay is one aspect.
Relay is the only aspect, the most important part. Second thing is, you have got such a big network and you have got 21 DSCP server, which also makes no sense. So ideally, in one hop, you should be able to reach any. It should be like, for example, if you have an Asian server, Asian server is one hop away. European server is one hop away, American server is one hop away, which has got scope only for the Asian countries, European countries, US and American, Canada and whatever stuff. So ideally, you would not want. And that's not the issue. The major issue is if they time out, then all your laziness went down the tube. Right? People come out in the morning, freaking the phone is not registered. Finished. Story is over.
But otherwise, the IP address which is being sent by the relay will be having something.
I would assume, so first of all, I have never done that, but I would assume that if it is already set, the other guy will not override.
Because if I was designing it, it would be stupid for me that within every hop inputting his own IP address, right? Then all the guys in the middle will have to either it will reach the same way and totally speed up, or they will have to rewrite it. And rewriting it, they don't have the information because they don't have the pool. They cannot just change one octet and keep sending. Yeah. Questions? Yes. All right, now that you know how switches work, we will quickly do a few slides, and after lunch, we are going to routing. Okay, so let me save this. Damn, I should have told save as. But anyway, you have the old file and you have the new file. Give it a different name. I know there is save as, but I'm saying you already had the old file. This has already overwritten that. Yeah, but I renamed this. Old one, you will still have to go back to the, yeah, okay. Now that I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Mr. Muttu is wearing a tie. Okay, this, what they all dropped off? No? Who is
Yeah.
Balwindra Jordan? Ah. Okay, guys, you can see my slide.
Yes, sir.
All right. So again, this is very specific to Cisco, but you need to understand general idea what we are talking about. You will not be tested, but you need to know, and especially if you're in the auditing side of things, risk compliance type, you should know what this is. Right? So one is when somebody connects to your console, right? You're giving it a password. Console as in the console port of the device itself. Every device go and see, they will see a console port. That means you have a laptop and you are connecting directly to the device. So you are setting up the password for that. The other one is VTY, so virtual terminal lines. Now this means if you have routing to any IP address of your router or switch, you should be able to tell networks. So 5 telnet lines are available by default. How many depends? Type a question mark, 0 space question mark. 200 I think is available. So you are setting that anybody does a password will be prompted. Okay, so virtual terminal because you can telnet to any of the IP addresses. Like if you have ever worked on the firewall, you get to define which are management ports. So normally it will be only the inside or only the DMZ. That you telnet to any other management port will not kick in. Right? So this one is basically you can telnet to any port if you have the routing up to the router and it will ask you a password. Now when you went to enable, it did not ask you a password. Right? From the user mode, let me go back to the look at this. I type enable, it's not asking me a password. So what I could do is I can say enable password Cisco. I say exit. Now if I have to type enable, it's asking me a password. One level. Useless level, but there is a level. Normally what you do is RBAC if you have heard using a NAC solution, role based access control that you are what? Whether you are GDP1, GDP2, freaking your top level support. Based on that, it will give you different levels of access. What you can do, what you cannot. You can only do show, or can you configure, or can you reboot the router? Okay. Can you change the logging characteristics? Can you delete the logs? I had one guy who got kicked out in the night. Shit happened. He said, no, I didn't do it. Then everything there are logs. Right? So the guy got fired. She goes to the company. There's the one that market is good apparently. He gets a 30% raise in another company. And apparently there he was for 2 weeks. And then he left the country. He got a raise on that. The second person he got fired. There was some Tenali drama types from the side. So this is like this. Who took his job? The other day who got fired to another company. I know both of them. So apparently the internet bill, no GST was there. It was like Kalburgi used to get some handwritten 1,000 rupees per month tips. Somebody audited, he got fired. So he gets a 30% raise to take this bill. Good times. Okay, so anyway, so that is, I'll go back to the slide now. Then enable password. See, so enable password right now what it is showing is if I do a show run, it will show me the password. If I say enable secret, that means it will encrypt this password entry. And the moment you do this enable password, even if you have configured, is overwritten. That will not work. You cannot use the same thing. So when you're doing a show run, for example, if somebody is behind you, security terms, shoulder surfing, they'll not know what the password is. And if you are too lazy, you can enable a service password encryption. It will go through all the passwords of your configuration and encrypt. That if somebody is behind you, will not be able to use. So yeah, well, some kind of security, but yeah, okay. Why is it adding? Then there is a banner. So in the banner, make sure you never write. So there is a delimiting character. Again, anything Cisco specific from exam viewpoint not necessary, but generically you need to understand. So that is the delimiting character. So make sure that delimiting character is never part of your statement, because after that it will not repeat this. Delimiting is starting and end. And don't say welcome. Reason for that being, you say welcome, you get hacked. They have not committed a crime. This is a fact. A legal fact. I was hanging out, I was browsing, it said welcome, I went inside. It's not a crime. So that is why you would have seen in your companies and all, you will be prosecuted by law and this and that, whatever. You have seen that. It's a big disclaimer. Why does it keep adding slides, man? Okay, telnet it is stupid way of doing it, so use secure shell. Do secure shell. That is an encrypted connection to the router or switch which you have configured, and it uses asymmetric encryption. Okay. At this point, if you understand it is encrypted, that is enough. Okay. If we finish routing, next class we should be able to discuss symmetric and asymmetric encryption. RSA, DVSA. You heard of these stories? So that part. What it is doing is it is generating a key of a particular length, and once you do that, transport inputs SSH on the virtual terminal lines, which means it will not allow non-secure shell access. Telnet will stop both. And login local means look at the local database for username password. It does not have to be local. You could be using a central LDAP server or TCAC server or whatever. Okay. So Telnet is obviously just when you are sitting somewhere, you do a show run, somebody watching gets a whole encryption, right? The whole config. That's all they need. Professional service. Sometimes you have right best practices you need to suggest. They will actually block the IP addresses, the passwords and stuff like that, and give it to you. Now you run it. Because those are actual running configs or devices. Yes, no. 131. Okay. Why does it keep adding lines? Okay, port security. We'll cover it in 5 minutes. We are coming back at 2, man. Guys, bye. Stop the recording, do what you have to.